If work feels harder than it used to, you're not imagining it. And it's not just you. I'm hearing this everywhere, from high performers to leaders to successful people. And in my conversations with them, I'm hearing them say things like this: I can't focus like I used to. I'm constantly tired even when I rest. And they ask themselves, why does this feel so heavy when I've handled more in the past? What makes it so confusing is that many can't explain what's wrong. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why everyone's struggling at work right now, and most importantly, what no one explains. Once you know what's happening, you stop questioning and blaming yourself and start seeing what actually needs to change. The story we've been told is when you're struggling, you're not resilient enough. You're not managing stress. You should be able to handle this. We're taught stress is an individual problem with individual solutions. We have to manage our time, set boundaries, have a positive mindset, create a better morning routine. Now, don't get me wrong, all these can help, but it doesn't explain why so many capable people are struggling. That alone should make us pause, because when everyone is struggling, it's not a personal problem or a personal failure. It's a systems issue. So let's talk about what no one explains. The rules of work have changed. Work has expanded, but recovery has not. Jobs today require so much more than they used to. We're expected to be constantly available, make quick decisions with incomplete information, context switch all day long. Recovery time has disappeared. There's no downtime, no breaks. I don't know about you, but I used to have to be late for my next meeting because I would take the first 5 minutes of my next meeting for a bio break. And the sad part, I wasn't the only one. There's no buffer time between meetings or projects or even decisions, and that creates a false sense of urgency. There's no time to reset, so there's no time for mental recovery. Cognitive and emotional load increases. Our brain is doing more work for longer hours and fewer breaks, and it's not designed to do that. The second thing that no one explains, our expectations are unspoken, and those unspoken expectations are relentless. People are not burning out because of what's written in their job description. They're burning out because of what's implied of their position. We're expected to be responsive, but don't burn out. Be flexible, but always available. Take ownership without control or authority. Do more with less and be grateful for the opportunity. These rules are never spoken out loud, but they're enforced every day at work. And these unspoken expectations, they're exhausting because your nervous system is constantly scanning. And when it's constantly scanning, it goes into overdrive. You know when your nervous system goes into overdrive when you start asking yourself these questions. Am I doing enough? Am I falling behind? Am I still seen as valuable? The third thing that no one explains is identity is tied to performance. This really hits hard for high performers. When your identity is built around being competent, reliable, successful, work stress doesn't feel like pressure. It feels personal. Because when things go sideways, or they're unstable or unsustainable, it doesn't just stress you out, it shakes you to the core. because you're constantly thinking about it during work hours, after work hours, before work hours. And this creates anxiety over functioning and eventually leads to exhaustion, which is a symptom of burnout. Now, you may be wondering why it hits harder for you than your colleagues. And there's a reason for that. It's because you're a high performer. High performers, they tend to anticipate problems before they come up. So they're already being proactive and solving those problems without even being asked. They fill in gaps that no one acknowledges. They carry that emotional and mental weight silently. And they say yes more often than they should. And the reward for that is more responsibilities, higher expectations, and less room to falter. And I created a separate video about that, which I'll link in the description box below. So there's a quiet struggle. And it shows up as brain fog, irritability, lack of motivation, and fantasizing about quitting. And this is not about weakness. It's the cost of being capable in a system that keeps taking more. When people don't understand why they're struggling, they do one of three things. They work harder. Yes, believe it or not, they work harder. They numb out by using different coping mechanisms, whether it's alcohol, scrolling, binge watching YouTube videos, retail therapy. I could go on, but those are what first comes to top of mind. And they turn their frustration inward, and that's what deepens burnout. It's not just about exhaustion, but disconnection. Disconnecting from your body, from your values, from your sense of self. And the danger is not just feeling tired. It's about losing yourself while telling yourself that this is just how it is. But it doesn't have to be. I know because I've lived through it. And for years, I tried to figure out what needed to change. I tried to figure out a solution. But for a long time, I was walking a lonely road, and it's a very dark place. Yes, I had family to talk to, friends and colleagues to vent to. But I knew that something needed to change, and I figured out what it was. It's not about quitting. That's not the answer. But it's also not about powering through either. What actually needs to change is how you relate to work, success, and your own energy. And that's by starting to understand what drains you, not just what stresses you out, what depletes you. And I have a separate video about energy, which I'll link in the description box below. Next is adapting ways that no longer serve you. Perhaps you're carrying a lot of responsibilities, baggage, weight that doesn't belong to you. Let that go. And redefining success so it's sustainable without losing yourself in the process. This isn't about fixing yourself. It's about learning to work differently in a system that won't do it for you. And if you're tired of the struggle, feel free to reach out to me. I'll include my link in the description box below. Let me say this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. You are responding normally to an environment that is asking too much. The moment you stop asking what's wrong with me and start asking what am I responding to and how do I respond to that, everything shifts. And if this provided clarity, this is exactly why I make these videos. And if you're comfortable, let me know in the comments what part of work feels hardest right now. What are you struggling with? I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime, check out one of these and I'll see you there.